Hello everybody, what's going on? It's Spirit here, and welcome to an Ark Survival Map Tier List. So, obviously I've not played all of these maps, but I've played a vast majority of them, and I did get a lot of inspiration to do this by learning it all from the community as well. So, I think overall my thoughts and opinions on this are going to be differ from everybody, obviously. So we'll see how this goes. The one thing that's not on this here is the what is it? The Aquatica map, and obviously that'd go into unplayable because that map is just awful. Just want to preface this right now. That map is terrible, is not good, is in fact the worst. So this has both ASE and ASA maps. Maybe not the most latest, especially like Genesis Ascended has just been released, so obviously this won't be on here, but most of these maps are on here, so we'll just say that much. So, starting off with the island, both from ASE to ASA. I'm going to put ASE in really good. The reason for that is obviously it's the first map, so I want to put it in a spot that makes the most sense. And this feels like the right spot for it because it really tests you on your survival capabilities at the very start, not only having to keep track of food, but also water. And then you're also learning about how to regulate your temperature by having different armors and stuff, from fur to ghillie, everything like that. So there are a few things that make it like not peak, to be honest, in my opinion. It's a very difficult map once you get to mid to late game, and it becomes a grind just to beat the map, especially since your end game is to beat the master, not the master controller, the overseer of the island, and you have to defeat the Broodmother, the Megapithecus, the dragon. The dragon is probably the worst for everybody because you're bound to lose creatures trying to do that boss. And then, not only that, you have to work your way through the tech cave, which, by the way, if you've not seen that, I have a link to a playlist in the top right-hand screen, so you can go and check that out, because obviously on each difficulty, it's very different levels in comparison to that. But overall, I think the island is just a familiar place to everybody, so having it here, I think, makes sense. Now, in terms of ASA Island, I'm going to put it in peak. Now, the reason for this is obviously because this island is still being updated, so comparing this one to this one, obviously in ASE there wasn't as much detail as it went into like the landscape, the trees. Some areas just didn't have any foliage or any bushes or anything like that. Meanwhile in ASA it has details everywhere on the map. Now admittedly ASA is very graphic heavy for any players that are looking to play this map, but overall I think because it gets multiple updates, and obviously the Ark Editions creatures have been added into the map, so you have many more creatures that just enter the map and just make the overall experience so much more different than ASE. And I think the island is much better now than what it was before. And I feel like the caves are still difficult, admittedly so, which is the mid to late game stuff. It is still a grind, but I think it's much less of a grind than it was before because some of the caves are not as difficult as they were before, at least in my opinion, but that's coming from somebody who has at least 2,000 hours into the game and has played the island map at least a couple times. I'm currently playing it now, so and I've done the caves. They're not too bad now, but of course the Arenio got a TLC, so that makes caves a little bit more difficult, but it's still really good in my opinion. Now, Scorched Earth. I'm gonna say it's really good just underneath the island, in my opinion, because it's a much easier map, in my opinion. Um, and the fact that it's desert themed is really good. It's also the second story map, obviously, for that reason. But also, the fact of the matter is, Scorched Earth becomes easy mid to late game because you're basically fighting against the Manticore, and the Manticore, in everybody's opinion, is probably one of the easiest bosses to fight just because of how you can just have a whole Rex army and a UD, and you could basically just Rex rush it to win. And obviously, as soon as you get a Wyvern, like, everything's easy. You go from place to place, you understand, like, you have to have water even in places that are limited of it. The caves are incredibly easy because you can hop on the back of a Thyla and go through them. As long as you're careful, obviously. There is one cave that is risky, but other than that, the detail of Scorched Earth was definitely a step up from the island. And with the Ascended one, I'm also going to say it's really good. I don't know if I want to say it's peak, though, because I think it's technically easier. Yes, in the opinion that obviously we have the Facilosuchus that got added. The Oasisaur is really cool, even though people have to buy a DLC for it. But the detail added into Scorched Earth Ascended definitely makes the map feel more alive, I guess the word is for it. There's a lot more green and just much more beautiful, in my opinion. So I'm gonna say it's really good. I think it can go over top of um, the ASE Scorched Earth because I think it has a lot more to it than before. I don't think it can go over ASE quite yet. Maybe if they added more bosses or more caves or something, maybe it would be higher, but I still think Scorched Earth is really good. Next is the center. The center I have not played enough, and I'm gonna put it in all right. It's because I haven't played it enough, I can't say whether it's really good or not. Obviously, because it's obviously like the ASA, the center is probably better than the normal center. But adding in the Pyromane kind of makes it like one of those creatures that you pay for. Obviously, is um, kind of upsetting for a lot of people because you have to buy this in order to use the creature. And obviously, I've not played long enough to say whether this map is really good or not. So that's just my opinion, obviously. So other people may have their. It's not like I don't think any of these maps are bad. I don't think there can be a bad map. Well, except for Aquatica, but Aquatica would go into the unplayable category if it was here. Next up, we have Aberration, both ASE and ASA. I'm going to say they're both peak, in my opinion, because I think the fact that when ASE's Aberration came out, the fact that it added in all these alien creatures, this unique map that was obviously insanely difficult at the time, not only just in early game because raptors could pounce on you, but also because like going to mid to late game, you understood that the only way you were going to get good loot was you had to go to the surface, and the surface had to either have a rock drake or a really good army to deal with the Reaper Kings. And obviously adding in unique features like the light pet, new taming methods for these creatures, everything like that. I mean, it just makes it a really good map. The tricky part is like ASE compared to ASA. I heard some people say that in their opinion ASE looked better than ASA, and some people say that ASA is still good. But I think the fact that ASA allowed you to breed not only Carcanos but also the basilisks, I think it puts it up there in terms of ASE. But the problem is that they took away the fact that they took away the biggest fear on ASA or on Aberration, because raptors no longer pounce you on there. At least everybody I've seen, nobody's gotten pounced on by a raptor and just held down like they did in ASE. So I think both aberrations can go over the island, but I'm not entirely sure. Obviously, these are going to get switched around a lot, so not entirely sure. Next up, I think the next map would be Ragnarok. Now, Ragnarok, very big map indeed. Did not play enough of this map. I'm gonna put it in all right, because I think when I played this map, it was one of the early game maps I played with friends, and we explored quite a bit of it, and it was clear that the map was going to be huge. And we probably did like one or two caves and then realized that, yeah, this is kind of very difficult. So because I didn't play it long enough, I'm going to just leave it there. I think the mini bosses definitely make it interesting, because I think on that map there's the lava golem, there's the death worm in that one cave that I know of. I hear a lot of people like Ascended, so I'm gonna put it in really good because it added in the bison, and I've seen a lot of funny clips used for the bison. I'm gonna put it in front of the island and also this. I guess in that regard, like, Ragnarok was the map that I played that I technically tamed my first Argentavis, accidentally somehow, with trank arrows. Um, but then I didn't really play that far into it. And I know people are gonna hate me for that, but that's just my overall thought process. I know it also had the griffin on the map, and the fact that in ASA you can breed griffins now, I think that puts it a step above and really good. Whereas I think Ragnarok itself is all right in my opinion. So like I said, don't really think I'm going to play any more of this one, but I will play Ascended since it did add in the bison and all that new stuff to be able to do. So I will say this is up there. Next up, this tier list only has like one thing of Valguero, but I hear ASA Valguero is really good. Valguero is what added in the Deinonychus, so I'm gonna put it in really good. I think it also had ice wyverns on the map, and obviously think I would put Ascended's Valguero somewhere probably in between Ragnarok and the island, just because like I love Deinonychus. I think they're really cool. I think being able to steal their eggs is fun. Uh, Other than that, I still think Valguero is like a really good map. I think it also included the, if I'm not mistaken, added in one other thing that I can't remember off the top of my head. But still, really good map. Next up, going to add in the Crystal Isles. The Crystal Isles, I will say, to get a spyglass early game is pretty easy. The problem I'm thinking of is that it's another huge map, and I don't want to cut this one short, but it is the one map that I see everybody does when they do Primal Chaos, I think is the mod. And obviously there are the Crystal Wyverns, which are really cool. The end game having to fight against the Blood Crystal Wyvern or whatever the boss is called. Like I said, this map is huge. I didn't play it long enough to do it, but I'm gonna say it's all right. But I don't know if I could do higher than that. It definitely would not be below Ragnarok, because obviously it has, I think, all the different types of wyverns in that. It also has griffins and a whole bunch of stuff to it. So that's what makes it difficult, in my opinion, to rate this one. I'm going to say it's probably still above the center in terms of everything. I don't know why it did it that way, but it did. So, yeah. I'll put it as alright. Obviously, I don't like the biggest maps because of that. However, Extinction is also a pretty big map. It has basically 3 different biomes. Well, that's not true. Technically 5. If you count, technically 6 if you count the wasteland part of it. There's the wasteland, the desert, the sulfur fields, the snow biome, the underground, the corruption zone, and then I guess technically 7 if you include the city. But overall, I love Extinction. It has a lot of my favorite creatures like the Managarmer, the Snow Owl, the Gotcha, the Velonosaur is really fun, having that turret dino. And the fact that it got improved upon, like the King Titan spawns in the Wasteland now. Comparing these two, I think I like the original Extinction, like Wasteland, just a bit more than I do the Ascended one. So I'm gonna say this one's peak. So what makes it difficult to decide between these two is that obviously, like, some people have their own different opinions, but the entire Wasteland being like, I think it's yellow or something that doesn't, looks more like desert, I guess. Obviously Ascended added in some of the newer stuff, and obviously the Bob's Tall Tales added in the cool like Wastelander decorations. But I can't think of anything that like stands out between ASA and like ASE. Obviously, the King Titan spawning in the Wasteland and being able to kill it to get loot is cool, and then the Titan killer. Oh, I'm blanking on the name right now, but I hope people know what I'm talking about. That's cool. I've heard a lot of people complain about the taming method, so I'm gonna put Extinction right here. Obviously, I think I like Aberration a little bit more than I do Extinction, and obviously, like, I was trying to find the fine line between Extinction here versus Extinction here, and I just think like I enjoyed most of my time playing ASE Extinction over ASA, just because of the Wasteland just doesn't look right to me. It doesn't give off that Wasteland vibe. So maybe if I played it a little bit more, it would be different, but I think I like Extinction's Wasteland just a little bit more than Ascended, and I think that's the factor that breaks these two apart. Obviously, ASA Extinction has those new creatures and stuff like that, but I don't think it matches up between this one. I still like this one over this one. Lost Island. I'm gonna put it in, I think, all right. I think I might put it under like Crystal Isles and just above the center. I played this with friends, and honestly, this was like after the Aquatica update, so obviously we had funny clips and moments from that game. And we didn't explore the whole map, but I think the map has a lot to it that just makes it fun. Also, the Manic Armor is on there, and that's, again, my favorite creature, so it's up there. But I can't give it a higher rating because I haven't played the full map. I've explored the whole map in my own time, obviously, but I can't give it a higher rating because I haven't played like more than that. Same with Crystal Isles, but Crystal Isles was a much bigger map in my opinion over Lost Island, so that's just my thought. Fjordur, I don't even have to think about this. This is peak. I love this map. It is fun, and it has like every creature involved on the map, including but not limited to the oh, what is that darn bat's name? Why am I drawing a blank? The one that takes blood or whatnot. The I don't know. Anyway, this map is awesome because it has multiple different biomes, multiple open world overworld bosses, along with Thor's hammer is really cool if you're the max survivor level. Obviously, every different type of creature, from Shadowmane to the Maywing, is also my favorite creature. Being able to just glide around the map, steal different eggs and stuff. The Magmasaur, all the different types of wyverns. It just has every different creature. And I think it would... Ooh, this is a tough one because I want to put it at like #1 peak, but I don't know if that belongs there. But it feels like such a really good map, and I just love starting over and playing on that map because it has so much to it. And I've actually explored some of the caves and stuff. Like, I've played the most out of this map compared to like these two. So I want to say Fjordur is like #1 on my list. So Genesis is tricky because everybody has mixed opinions about it because it has multiplayer basically involved in it with the missions and stuff, and you're not supposed to be able to beat it solo. And obviously with ASA adding in the new stuff, having ships and stuff available to us, that makes it slightly better. So what makes this difficult is I love Genesis. I love the Bloodstalker, the Magmasaur. The Megachilon is very annoying to tame, but it's still a cool creature. The Lunar Whale in the Lunar biome, even though that biome is incredibly dangerous. And also the Ferox in the Snow biome. Now, I liked Genesis because I built my base in the ocean biome, and I think the ocean biome is like the most livable. You could live in the bog, don't get me wrong, but I think the ocean biome was like the best. I'm gonna put it in all right, because it is a very hard map, in my opinion, to play. It makes it difficult to put this because I think I'm gonna put it above Crystal Isles and Lost Island. While yes, some people will say that this map is bad, mainly because it is so incredibly difficult. I think the fact that they've improved upon the ocean biome by adding in ships and stuff to it and all new creatures, like if I were to rank it, I'm gonna put it above Crystal Isles, and obviously people are gonna hate me for that. But you know what? That's fine because this map, in my opinion, like I had the most fun playing and just obviously played through every different story map. Getting to Genesis felt easy. It's like I took all of my experience from playing the different maps and then making it all the way to Genesis, and I beat Beta Master Controller on my own. So I consider that an achievement. Was I going to attempt Alpha Master Controller? Absolutely not, because most of the Alpha missions are just insanely difficult. In fact, the one fishing mission in the Arctic biome made me want to punch a hole in my monitor. So I'm just going to say that Genesis is all right. I think they need to adjust the missions. I've not played too much of Genesis in ASA yet, and obviously that's not on this list, but I will say that I think Genesis is an all right map in itself. Genesis Part 2, I'm going to put it on the lower end of this. The only thing I could say that came out of Genesis Part 2 is the Shadow Mane, the Maywing, and the fact that you get to fly around in a tech suit the entire time. Now, Genesis Part 2 does have the Mana Garmer. Don't get me wrong, I love the Mana Garmer, but the Shadow Mane, like, it's not too bad to tame, but it's still very tricky for anybody who's obviously new. Flying around on with a tech suit, like, cool, and obviously the map is pretty big, but it's kind of lower on the scale of like trying to beat this map, because the endgame boss fight is interesting. It isn't necessarily hard, it's more like it can be annoying sometimes to try and do. And I probably spent so much time reading like the perfect stats Shadow Mane because I kept getting really bad stats in ASE. Maybe that'll change in ASA since they'll no longer have the movement speed stat. But in my opinion, it's a big map, obviously, and there's just so much to it. I think you have to do all these certain missions in order to beat it from my memory. It's been like almost half a year since I played this map, so I honestly don't remember. And finally, the Lost Colony. Lost Colony is probably going to be peak. The reason that this map is peak is because I like everything about it. All the Veil Winds and the Soul Winds, the fact that there's just a different faction, you get to raid their stuff. I mean, there's so much to this map that I played so much of it recently, and honestly, starting off, it's really hard. Like, I think I had to. What was cool about it was, I played it like there was no flyer because I could not find a flyer to save my life. I wanted to fly toward the center of the map and try to build a base somewhere within there, and that just wasn't happening because I could not find a flyer in the early starting area, and if I tried to spawn in a harder location, I would die very quickly. So I think what I had to do to beat this map, well, not necessarily beat it, but attempt to beat it, was I tamed like 2 mammoths in the starting area, which became very tricky because Ocedons spawn in close to that area. And then basically I conga lined them to the middle of the map, and I think it's interesting how we see like some aberration corruption from Rockwell on that map. I think it's interesting that all the different things, the fact they added in the one bat from Fjordur onto that map was really cool. And obviously the endgame boss fight, you get a cool wyvern thing bat. Yeah. So, ooh, that makes it tough then. I want to say this can obviously go over the island. I think it's better than the island. The skill tree definitely makes it cool. Over extinction though, I mean, it does offer the fact that you can tame a mana garmer. I feel like I've mentioned that at least 4 times by now, but I just love the mana garmer. Snow Owl is in it. Obviously that bat that I can't remember the name of. The cool, like, dark gothic theme of the map and the skins for it. Yeah, I think it can go over extinction. I think I did enjoy playing this map over extinction just a little bit. I don't think I could give it over aberration because it's tricky to put it up there. I do like the map. I do like it a lot. Yeah, I think that's where I kind of want to put it. Obviously I'm missing some maps on here, but this is the best list I could find on here. Nobody else has made another list with all the current maps yet, so, and I can't make one without making an account on here, but I think this is overall my tier list. Obviously this can diverse between the two. Yeah, I think I'm happy with this list. I don't think there's a bad map, honestly. Astraeos I would put in really good, probably like just behind Ragnarok in my opinion, since it had the Meguana. But the only one that I would consider unplayable is obviously the Aquatica map. I think that map is just awful in my opinion. So yeah, I think I'm happy with this list. I don't think any map is bad. I think they're all unique in their own way. And obviously people are going to have their own opinions on this. But let me know what you think. Do you think this list is pretty accurate? I tried to explain as much as I could, but obviously we're at 30 minutes in, and this is the best I could come up with, because obviously I don't have everything on here, and obviously I've not played some of these maps. The only 2 I have played I put in alright, but I put this one above this one any day. But yeah, let me know what you think, and if you had any changes or any thoughts that you have on Ark. So yeah, thanks for watching, hope you enjoyed, and have an awesome day. Later. I'ma blow up. Yeah.